And the most important piece of structure that we're going to be talking about at length here right now that determines all political actions and motivations and opinions is the sense of self and other that you have. What is your sense of self and what is your sense of other? That's the key. That is so key. Most people just assume that, well, my sense of self is just me, my body, and then the other is just everything else. It's not so simple. Sense of self is an elastic notion, as is the sense of other. So we're going to explore this in a moment here. This is a matter of how big is your circle of concern. And here we need to talk about developmental psychology and specifically stages of moral development. Researchers and psychologists over the last 50 years have done some good, serious research into how morality develops within human beings. And what they found is that there's a consistent ladder of steps that people go up as they grow and they mature. So here are some of these steps. We're going to be talking about now from going from the smallest circle of concern, smallest, most condensed sense of self, to an expanding, ultimately universal sense of self and circle of concern. So first we start off with the way that a baby is born into the world. It's just my physical survival. It's the smallest circle of concern you can have. At this point, you don't even care about your family. You don't care about your parents. You don't care about your friends because you basically don't have any friends. And your family, you don't even recognize them as your family. It's just like a little toddler who needs his milk. Otherwise, he cries, right? That's all he cares about. He doesn't even care about what happens to his mother. He just needs what he needs to live. It's a very primitive form of existence. And this is how animals live as well. Animals mostly just care about their own physical survival. Many animals, for example, will actually cannibalize their own kind. They will even cannibalize their young in order to personally, physically survive. And that's just a very crude form of survival, that we had to go through as life forms to get to where we are today. Then your circle of concern expands some more as you grow up. And now it's not just me personally, but of course you have to include your family as well. And usually also you have to start to include your tribe as well, because you don't just grow up in a family outside of a tribe. This has never been the case in human civilization until maybe just now in the 21st century. Well, we always had a tribe. So now I care about myself, my family, and my tribe. And I care, I really care. If someone in my family gets hurt or injured, I actually empathize with them and I want to help them. And if they need help, I will gladly lend a hand. But not to some other family, only to my own family, because my own family is mine and that other family is some other family. What do I have to do with them? Likewise, I will chip in for my tribe, but I won't chip in for the neighboring tribe because they're not my tribe. And that's my sense of self and my sense of circle of concern. Then that grows to include me, my family, but also now my civilization, because we're going beyond tribes. We've evolved to civilization. So now my civilization, my ethnic group, my culture, my religion, my morality, and my country. All of that. This is the level of moral development that many conservatives are at right here. This is how they form their entire identity around their family, their civilization, their ethnic group, their moral system passed down from their religion, and their culture and their country. And this is held to be the best, and everything else is expendable. It's not mine. That other country, that other culture, that other civilization, it has nothing to do with me. That's how they think. Then you grow a little bit more, and your circle of concern expands to all decent human beings on the planet, all races, all cultures, but not the bad guys, not the evil people, not the criminals, not the ones who would oppress the innocent. Your circle of concern does not expand to those. Those you hold as expendable because they're bad in your mind. But all decent people, regardless of what country they live in, you have empathy for. Then your circle of concern expands even more as you become more conscious and more developed. And now you start to care about all human beings on the entire planet, good or bad, including the evil ones, the criminal ones, and even the ones who would oppress the innocent. You even have empathy for them because you recognize that they too are human, and many of the most monstrous people on the planet, actually, there's a really good reason for why they are that way, because they were abused as children, or they grew up in a very impoverished environment, or they had terrible tragedies like their family died when they were young, or they were indoctrinated into some kind of cult or some sort of terrorist organization. So you start to see that, oh, it's not really their fault. I can see why they went down that road. And if not for me being a little bit lucky, being born in the right circumstances, in the right family, and being raised properly, I too could have gone down that road. And so, oh, I see. I have empathy for them now too. Then your circle of concern expands even more to include now not just humans, but animals and the environment. You care about the entire planet as an ecosystem. This is called Gaia, planet Earth as a superorganism. You care about the future of the entire planet, not just for your selfish needs. It's not like, oh, well, I care about the planet because I don't want my children to live in a burning hell. But I actually care about just the well-being of the planet itself and all the animals that live on it. Then your circle of concern expands even further to include all conscious beings in the entire universe, not just this planet. And then lastly, your circle of concern becomes infinite. Your sense of self becomes infinite, and you care about all of creation, whether it's living or non-living, in this dimension, in some other dimension, in the past, in the future, at all times. All of it is something you identify with, and all of it is something you empathize with and care for and want the best for. So try to peg yourself. Where are you, honestly, where are you on this scale of moral development? Understand, though, that if you're at a lower level, this doesn't mean you're an evil person. It just means you're at that level. So I'm not judging you for being whatever level you're at. Just be honest with yourself and don't judge yourself either. Also understand that there's going to be a problem here, is that if your level is too low, you're not going to even want to accept that there are these levels. You see? Because some people listening to me here, if they're at a low level, they'll say, Leo, but why should I care about the animals and the environment? This is some hippie bullshit, some new age nonsense, all conscious beings in you. What are you talking about? This is fairy tales and wishful thinking. I mean, I can understand maybe caring for all human beings, but are you serious caring about animals and the environment? This is silly. Yeah, that you're speaking from, notice that you're speaking from your current stage of consciousness and moral development. That's how you feel. And you honestly feel that way. And you can't understand why someone would care about living beings on another planet. To you, it makes no sense because you haven't evolved to that level yet. You see, so the trick here is that it's hard to take seriously any level which is several stages above your current level. Because if you could understand it and you would accept it seriously, then you would already be there, you see. So keep that in mind. So the reason we get such bad politics is because most of the citizens who vote have a very small, narrow circle of concern. And most of mankind is at a very primitive level of moral development. Over 50% of the planet are at the level where they have their circle of concern includes them, their family, and their civilization, their ethnic group, and their personal religion and country, and nothing else. That's where 50% of the globe is at right now. See, so it's not very sophisticated.